I've been doing SMS campaign. I've been using Launch Control. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one.
Yep.
But Launch Control, the plan I have allows me to send 600 a day. And I did that just because, to try and get my numbers up, I was only able to call, maybe 50 a day on the cold calling. So I've been doing a text blast in the morning. I just learned yesterday about TCPA. And, if somebody doesn't opt in, technically it's against the rules. You can get fined pretty heftily there. What are your guys' thoughts on TCPA and texting campaigns?
Launch Control is TCPA compliant. You're fine.
Well, what they said is in the terms and conditions that it's up to me to be compliant. And I did read the law. If somebody doesn't opt in and you're trying to get them to sell a property based on, I'm not a lawyer. I didn't talk to a lawyer, but based on my reading of the rules, you're not really supposed to do that if they don't have an opt-in.
Well, let me be honest with you. The way that you're reading TCPA might be a little different because the way the TCPA is for telemarketing. And have you found the definition of telemarketing?
Well, in TCPA, it basically says any attempt to buy or sell a property, among other things, is basically a no-no.
For is it the FCC definition or for the
TCPA? I read the actual
1991?
You can pull up the law if you just Google it. I read the actual verbiage in there.
Most of them say on the verbiage. Oh, yeah, wait. Are we talking about TCPA or DNC?
TCPA. Okay, so DNC, if you call somebody that's on the DNC and try and buy or sell something, that's $45,000 a phone call, the fine. Text messaging, if somebody didn't opt in, is $500 $500 per text. The potential fine, I'm doing 600 a day. That's $300,000 a day. And I did message Launch Control about that. They're basically hands off. If somebody comes after me, it's my fault for not being compliant.
So the DNC law is about telemarketing, and telemarketing is the encouragement of the selling of something on it. So from the lawyers I've talked to, DNC is fine. And DNC is the biggest issue I see. Now, for the TCPA, violations are all over the board. The most I've seen on a TCPA violation is $500. And that's with a class action with what lawyer will do like 15 people at $500 each. That's the worst I've ever seen. I haven't seen $40,000 a call, because if it was $40,000 a call, people would be suing for it. That's not possible. Okay. Now, half these are off of intent. So if you're really scared of it, I would go reach out to a lawyer and talk to them. But if you're scared of it, just don't do it. That's pretty much what I could say.
Well, I've been still doing it. I just learned yesterday, but I wanted to see what you guys thought on that. Because
I think the way you're reading the law is a little different. After talking to 100,000 wholesalers, I've had one guy being sued for DNC and TCPA at the same time. And do you know how much he's being sued for? $500.
Yeah.
The lawyer's spending $1,000 to sue the guy for $500 because they had a personal vendetta against the person.
Right.
The most you can get sued for is $500 for a DNC and a TCPA violation.
Yeah.
Because the way the DNC law works is for telemarketing, and the definition of telemarketing is the encouragement of the selling of something or somebody to buy something. And so if you're calling somebody to look to buy their house, it's in a gray area. It's very hard to sue there. TCPA, you're good for telemarketing there. And telemarketing has a weird legal definition. So I have 100,000 people. I don't have one lawsuit I can find. I have about 15 I can find on RVMs though. So that's the way you got to look at it. Plus, don't be stupid when you're texting, I could tell when someone's trying to fish for information, and they're going to fish for $500. So that's why it's not really a big deal for me, because 99% of people are not going to spend $3,000 to sue you for $500.
Right.
But there's people out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the problem is if you like freak out about like anything you think's like slightly finable, or you call it illegal. It's not illegal. It's just finable. You won't do much. So in my 20 years, I've only had 2 go after me. One was for RVM. I forgot what the other one was.
What's RVM, guys? I don't know what that is.
It's a ringless voicemail. Actually, it's a brilliant strategy, but it's very misleading, and I get their side of it. So whenever you get a tactic that gets abused, mostly by like gurus and stuff like that, Sometimes you run with it, and then when they make it so difficult, you just go away. We used RVM for a long time. I just had to go away.
So I'm reading the law again, Brian. Are you so that violation you said is true, but only if you use an auto dialer, an auto texter, which launch control is non-auto texter.
Yeah, it's very long. The federal government also published.
I'm just trying to let you know the law.
Yeah.
If you click a button and it sends 5,000 texts instantly, you're screwed. If you have the individual, it's non-auto dialer, so you're outside of TCPA. The only thing you get in trouble for is DNC. And DNC
launch control does make you have to click every single time, and every message
it's non-auto dialer, so you don't get that 40 grand fine.
Right.
So the DNC law is interesting. So yeah.
You guys.
My interpretation of it was that yes, it could be 500 per person, and I'm like, oh no, I'm doing 600 people. That's 300 grand. But you're right. I think each person there would have to join the class action, or each person there would have to sue you for the 500. So I feel more comfortable after if you guys aren't worried about it, I don't think I'm that worried about it.
No, but remember, I'm not here to give you legal advice. Yeah. You want to do what makes you comfortable. Some people just decide, here's how most people do it. The honest to God truth in wholesaling. They just run with it until they get called to the plate, and then they bend over backwards, apologize super nice to people, and usually they go, okay, I'm not going to risk that again. So if you haven't even gotten to that point, I'm not telling you to move forward to that point. I'm just, in 20 years, man, I door knocking, RV, I've tried everything. And occasionally they go, hey, you need to stop this because of this. And then I sign an agreement and I don't do it again. So, and really, what you're going to pay like 300 grand a day? That's not realistic.
Right.
So I used to have I used to own a print store because we printed so many bandit signs, and our company used to print for politicians and mattress stores. So you ever seen a mattress store sign?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, these guys, they don't even care about the law. They'll go out and put thousands of signs. We drop off pallets of them because they were making so much money on sales. And the guy goes, yeah, I've got like $15 million of fine against me. And he's just a small little store. He just didn't care. He goes, I'm never going to pay it. I don't care. And sometimes people take that attitude, but you've got to be responsible. You've got to be accountable to yourself at the end of the day.
The FCC puts telemarketing with DNC as the initiation of a telephone call or message for the purpose of encouraging the purchase of a rental or an investment in, or encouraging the purchase of property or goods or services. So if I call you, Brian, say, hey, would you like to buy this service, this guru package? No. Would you want to buy this piece of real estate? No. Would you like to invest in a real estate? Would you like to rent this piece of real estate? No. Right? Me calling somebody to see if they're looking to sell a property is different because you're not encouraging somebody to invest, purchase, or rent something or buy a service. They are actually getting money from you. They are not there because of how most telemarketing is. You already know this. Money from you. I want your money. I want your money. Give me money. Give me money. Give me money. We're not doing that. And so this is why it's not, the FCC hasn't changed the law on it. So it's in a gray area. So you're not using an auto dialer, and for the DNC, it's a little different. So that's why no one gets sued for the DNC in wholesaling, unless it's a lawyer who you did something to make them angry.
Right. So when you're cold calling those, you just call right through those DNCers.
I'm not telling you what I do, but it's up to you guys. Well,
I was only starting to get even looking into it because I've been texting all the people with upcoming auctions. In Texas, auction is first Tuesday of every month. And so I wait until there's about 1.5, 2 weeks to go. And I hit every single one in the whole state. And those people they're really angry. I mean, they say sometimes 40 calls a day, they get really mad. I get a lot of curse word replies and really angry people telling me they're going to report me and stuff like that. So, those people, they're getting a lot of phone calls. So
I've been threatened to be sued about 1,000 times from calls, and not one lawsuit has been served to me.
Okay, good to know.
I'd like to keep it that way.
I think some of them have actually gone to lawyers and be like, I'm gonna sue this guy. And they're like, okay, well, here's a $4,000 invoice. Here's a retainer, and we'll sue this guy for $500.
It's the people who try to do it themselves, the ones. And then a lot of you guys get chased down from someone goes, if you don't pay me $500, I'm going to pursue you. Do not engage it. because once you
Ignore
engage them, they know you're worried and they're going to push you for months on end. So if you
I
get,
have heard one story of that happening.
when you get what I call a hostage pursuant call,
Mhm.
ignore it, because you have to have the policy of you can't engage and negotiate with someone like that, because
there's people on
they're just
TikTok
trying to extort money. They have nothing better to do. Think about how much time it takes to do that. And I've had people really, they're like, I'm going to wear this guy down. The best thing you do is just ignore him.
Well, I want you to understand this too, because I've showed you there's guys on TikToks that will sell templates to send to people. And statistically, if you send about 40 of those out, you'll get one person to send you $500.
They're looking for the scared person.
So they tell you, the TikTok people tell you, if what do I do if they don't respond to me? Well, there's nothing. Well, either you file the $4,000 lawsuit or you don't. And so you're just looking to get someone to send you the $500 because they get you scared.
Settle.
And so they're all templates. So you're fine.
Okay, thanks guys. Thanks so much. I've seen you guys taking these calls, and I was like, man, I need to get on there. So I downloaded my StreamYard today.
I know. So
Brian, just go for it, and then just use the strategies, and then work with your seller. But like, don't be stuck on what you mentally think they're going to accept, because you don't know. You have to solicit that response from the seller to start a negotiation. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right. Okay. Appreciate it. Have a great one, Brian.